Okay.
Sounds like we're live.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I think I'm supposed to do this part, so I'll just do it anyway. Today we are speaking with Deshawn from Southern Elegance. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about what you do and how you came to get into your business. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do at Southern Elegance?
So at Southern Elegance Candle Company, we are primarily a candle company, although we do have plans of introducing some other home fragrance lines in terms of the wax melts and the room spray. But primarily, we are a candle company, and all of our candles are focused around southern destinations. So, um, southern destinations, southern agriculture, southern cities, just an entire southern way of life. So that's pretty much what my brand is about.
Oh, very nice. So presumably you grew up in the South. Is that how you drew your inspiration and where everything came to be?
Yeah, so I am from a small town in Alabama originally. My mother's from Alabama. My dad is from a small town in North Carolina. My husband is from a small town in Florida. So we've grown up experiencing living throughout the South pretty much. And he is retired military, and the entire time he was in the military, whenever we would get stationed somewhere, I would always tell him I'm ready to go back home. I'm ready to be back in the South. I'm ready to experience some Southern hospitality. So, yeah, it's really all about my life, my experiences, and things that I have enjoyed experiencing through my grandparents, my great grandparents, and just generally family and living in the South.
Oh, that's awesome. What kind of so what are your favorite scents and where do they come from? Do you have any like fun stories about any particular scent?
So most of the scents are places that I have actually lived or visited. So all of the scents are like very personal to me. Although the company is growing now, that we have incorporated some other places and other scents, but the vast majority are things that I have personally experienced. So all of them really are kind of like my favorites. It's hard to choose just one. And all of and all of the scents really are rooted in Southern agriculture. So um, it's kind of simple but complex all at the same time. We try to choose fragrances that are not just like one note, but they have a variety of notes. But all of the candles are like really rooted in Southern agriculture.
Oh, very nice. So what would be a few examples of the scents?
Okay, so I have a couple boxes right here. So we have one called Coastal Waters, and this is actually the box that was designed by Julia, who is one of the designers that I've used. So Coastal Waters would be one. We have another one, Southern Sunshine. So this one is like really citrusy and bright and fun with lemon in it, whereas this one is a little bit more masculine and it has like ozone, which is a fancy kind of word for a light airy fragrance. So with a little bit of woodsy notes in it with the driftwood. So we have, of course, High Cotton, because like literally you can drive down the street in any southern state and still see a lot of cotton fields. So we have our cotton scent. It's very it's kind of, it smells kind of like a dryer sheet, but more fancy. uh, and when you yeah. There we go. So this one is our tin. It's called Southern Nights, and it's sandalwood and gooseberries. And gooseberry is just a wild berry that kind of grows all throughout some of the more southern states, not some of the colder ones, but throughout some of the further south states. So it's just a wide variety. We have some apple scents. We have magnolia. We have honeysuckle and jasmine, because that, of course, that grows all throughout the south. So all of the scents are just Carolina pine, of course, because of the pine trees throughout North and South Carolina. So just a wide variety of southern fragrances.
They sound very relaxing. I would like one right now. Well, that's pretty awesome. Um, so with that being said, what does your brand stand for then?
The brand is really all about community and focusing on the things that just generally we have in common. Even though it's like based in the South, all of the candles and all of the fragrances we choose are fragrances that anybody living anywhere really can relate to. So it's all about what things bring us together. The South, we kind of got a mixed bag kind of history, but having said that, if you grew up here and you've been to Charleston, there are certain things about Charleston that's just everybody's going to recognize. Or if you grew up on a dirt road in the country, visiting your grandparents, there are certain things about that that everybody can relate to. It doesn't really matter where you live. So it's all about focusing on what brings us together. What is our shared history? What are our shared experiences? What makes us really human and really Southern? So that is what the brand focuses on, bringing people together through fragrance, basically.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. How were you able to translate that into your design?
So that was really a challenge. I ran a contest, and I was very specific about, which I think whenever I always encourage people to run a contest and be very, very, very specific about what it is your brand is about, what it is your company is about. So when I filled out the form, I tried to include as many details about the candles we were going to be choosing, about the brand vision, about our mission statement, so that the designer could really understand what it is that we were trying to capture in the design. And our designer actually lives in Canada. She's Canadian. So the fact that she's not from the South didn't really affect whether or not she could design a fabulous box for me, because one of the things we always get compliments on is the presentation of the candles, which is basically the two boxes that she designed for us. We actually have three brands. I have two brands with three different designs, and all of the designers came from 99 Design. So it doesn't matter. Sometimes the language barrier can be an issue when you're working with designers, but if you are clear about what it is that you are looking for, your designer will be able to design it for you. And she did a fabulous job. I'm just blown away every time I look at our boxes.
Oh, that's great. That makes me happy. And I'm sure that's for you as well. So getting back into how you translated, I'm kind of interested in how you can tell a designer what you want to see. Did you use any images, or did you use any textures, or how did you describe exactly what you wanted from her or the designers in general?
I think the first thing that we did before we look for designers is to really have a clear idea of who our customers are, your ideal customer, pretty much. Who are we going to be selling to? Who are these people that are going to be interested in this type of candle? And for that part of it, it wasn't so much Southern as just a general kind of person that I was looking for. And I did a vision board, and I put a lot of images of sweeping Southern porches, outdoor Southern farms, typical Southern women. I think sometimes we have a typical kind of look to us. So I included images of all of that in the brand. I included pictures of peaches, apples, the honeysuckle, like whatever the fragrances were. I kind of created a board with all of that in it, in the context of being in the South. So in the end, you had a whole visual image of what we were looking to kind of capture in our box design. And we just did that on Pinterest, so it wasn't like some fancy something we did. We just created a board on Pinterest.
Right. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, we've noticed that having people create Pinterest boards or mood boards really helps communicate design, because it's easier to see visually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have just to make sure I got it all. Did you only get the packaging design, or did you get anything else designed at 99 Designs?
I have actually had a lot designed. Once I worked with Julia, like she was my go-to person. So I'm gonna show you the first box that she designed for me. And so this is our actual box that she did. I think this is the one that won the contest. After she designed this one, I was so happy with her. I had her design a second box for us. So this might have been the one that won the contest. And then I had her design this one. And she also designed the labels. After we did the contest, we had her also design business cards to make sure that everything was on brand. She also designed some candle care inserts for us that go with every package, and we have like several different versions of that. So Julia has actually done a lot of work for us. And whenever we need anything done, we kind of get her. We always go through 99 Designs and we get her to do any additional work for the brand and make sure that everything stays on brand and has a very cohesive look. Um, One time she was booked, so I had to run a different contest because we started a sub brand that we sell when we do craft fairs, and that one is called Sand Hills. And Jen, I think her name is Jen, designed the logo, and basically she does the same thing for the sub brand, which is Sand Hills. So the labels for the wax melts, the labels for the candle. Let me bring that into focus. Jen does all of that work for us. So we have two different designers that we work with for both brands to keep everything cohesive. But whenever I need design work done, I go to my original two designers.
Gotcha. Cool. So can you talk a little bit more about your sub brand and how that came to be?
Southern Elegance is has a higher price point, and we sell that in high-end boutiques. And we felt like when we were doing festivals, they're outside, they can get kind of dirty. The price point is kind of high. The boxes are really expensive. So we did not feel comfortable continuing to take that particular brand to, craft fairs and shows and stuff. So we created something, a sub brand that we could take and still make money with. So the Sandhills vessel is cheaper. The labels we often do in house. They're not professionally printed. They still look good, but they're not professionally printed. So we're able to have a little bit more control over this. We can add fragrances whenever we want to, take them off whenever we want to, because we don't have to worry about boutiques wanting to order something that we've discontinued. So it's just a brand that we kind of created for the company to have another revenue stream that doesn't dilute the Southern Elegance brand.
That makes sense. So the target audiences differ slightly?
Totally different. Totally different. So Southern Elegance is sold in high-end boutiques, whereas the Sandhills collection is sold at like outdoor festivals. So it might be an outdoor music festival where you have all types of people coming through that doesn't want to spend $28 for a candle, but they'll spend, $9.99 or $10 for one, or whatever the special is we may be running.
Makes sense. Now, did you go through the same process for Sandhills that you went for Southern Elegance in developing your target audience and everything that they might want?
Yes, we went through the exact same process, identifying our customers, creating a Pinterest board. The Sandhills customer likes bright, airy kind of colors, so the labels needed to be very colorful, whereas the Southern Elegance was kind of black and white and a little upscale. So it was a totally different feel that we were going for and a totally different vibe. So we created a totally different avatar for our customer and another totally different mood board.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, that makes total sense to me. Gotta get in the mind of the other person.
Yes. And I find that the visuals really do kind of help capture what it is we're looking for.
Yeah. Okay, so another really important question I have is, what advice would you give to aspiring founders, companies?
Oh, wow. One thing is never give up. I mean, I live in a very small town. We have about 5,000 people, maybe 6,000 people in this small town. So I did not have a lot of resources to just go and find somebody to do this. So you have to be like really crafty in what it is that you're trying to do. That's one of the reasons I ended up with 99 Designs, because it's not like we have a whole bunch of graphic designers here to choose from. So that's how I ended up with 99 Designs. So you have to be very, very strategic. You got to be smart. You got to never give up. You can't take no for an answer. So, we don't have a manufacturing space here. We've had to co-op retail space and repurpose different types of spaces to ensure that we're able to grow the company. So sometimes the space is less than ideal where we're working. But I think that you just never have to take no and always figure out like how to get to that next level.
That's really good advice. Speaking of, I feel like maybe there could be some other customers out there that we have that could share in your situation where you don't maybe have a lot of resources, as you mentioned. Can you talk a little bit more about maybe how you went about finding different partners to work with? Obviously, you found us probably online, I'm guessing, or was it word of mouth? But not just us, everybody else that you've met, but other people that you've worked with to make your dream come true.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, Google is your friend. I tell people that all the time. Like, literally, Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. And then I'm in a lot of maker groups. So, we talk about best practices. So, whenever anybody asks me about the boxes, which, people always ask me about them, who designed them, what was that whole process? I share the information. Like, I'm very forthcoming with what you need to do in order to choose a winning design if you're going to run a contest, and all of the steps that I took in order to make sure that the contest was successful. So I think that making sure that you're in those types of groups, talking to other makers, especially if you're a micro manufacturer, you're basically making the thing that you're selling. You have to have a strong support group, and being in those Facebook groups has been invaluable to me. And whenever I learn something, I'm always trying to share that information with other people.
So almost like knowledge karma.
Really, it is. And the more you know, like, you'll attract people. And the more you give, the more people are willing to give to you. So I try never to be very closed with the information that I have. So whatever works for me, I share it. It may not work for other people. Some people need their designer to be right there in the place where they are, sitting down talking to them. If that's the case, then 99 Designs might not work for you. But if you're able to work with people over long distances and communicate effectively through email, then you can definitely, this is a service that would be perfect for you. So you just have to really be crafty and talk to people and just really make it work.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess it could be. Does it get lonely being an owner of one?
Yes. Yes. And short answer is yes, especially because sometimes the people that you need to talk to learn what you're doing and to learn how to grow your company is also your competition. So sometimes people are not very forthcoming with information when you are working in the same field. So it's a lot of trial and error. It's great when you can find that like group of people that's really going to help you. If we need a new wax melter, like, what is the best kind of wax melter to get? What brand of wax melter is the most dependable? What type of wax is the best type of wax to use? What are the fragrance companies that you can talk to if you're at a small level versus now we're buying our fragrances in drums. So just that part of it is really difficult, finding suppliers.
That makes sense. How about support from, say, family or the community? Your community, was that something that you found easy, or did you have to was online the answer for you in that area as well?
I try to tell people, don't build your company on the backs of your family and friends. So if they purchase from you, that's always a bonus. But I think it's really difficult to build a company if that's what you're really trying to do, and build a brand from scratch if you're trying to just sell to your friends and family. if you start off not dependent on them, it forces you to be very creative about where you go to get people to buy your candles. And also, friends and family, like, they love you, so they're not going to tell you that a candle, sucks. Like, you know, excuse me. So they're not going to really be honest sometimes with their opinions. I did a lot of craft shows, so when people didn't like a candle, they just be like, I don't like this. And so I learned, like, what fragrances do people really like. Whereas my family would be like, "Oh, this smells wonderful. I really enjoyed it," and no, they didn't. So um, the one piece of advice I always give people is do not depend on your family. Plus, I want a convertible Jag. Like I tell everybody, I want a convertible Jag. If my cousins are the ones that are financing the company, when I show up in a drag and they're in a Toyota, what's gonna happen? you know, they're gonna be mad. Like, you get a Jag and I get a Toyota. I'm not buying any more of your candles. So I'm just, that's like the one thing. Don't depend on them. Their support is great, but don't expect it. Let it be a little bit of extra credit, so to speak.
That makes complete sense as well. um, is there anything else you would like to share? Those are pretty much all the questions that I have. I know you showed some of the products. Is there anything that you want to show? Do you have like a storefront or anything that you want to show, or is it mostly just the products themselves?
We do not have a storefront. We are strictly manufacturing, so we just make the candles here. We don't sell. Mainly because I live in a small town and there's really not it's not populated. It's like people are spread out, and we live in a typical small town, which has like a Ace Hardware store and a hot dog stand for the most part. So yeah, we just took a office space and turned it into a manufacturing space, and kind of pray every day that whoever the administration is that come around looking at manufacturing space never find us. So we try to be the best neighbors possible, because technically we're not supposed to be in this space. So my one piece of advice that I tell people is, like, you just got to make what you have work, whatever that is. I see a lot of people using excuses about they don't have this, or they don't have that, or they don't have this support, or they can't find anybody to sell the buy their widget, whatever the widget is. There are always people out there. You just have to be really, really creative and think outside of the box when it comes to that type of stuff.
That sounds fantastic. Well, I very much appreciate your time, John. And it was lovely talking to you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate y'all taking the time to talk to me about my company. I love talking about it, and 99 Designs has been a big part of our growth because of the designs that we get from your artists.
Oh, that's great to hear, and you definitely exude happiness when you speak of your company. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let me.
All right, we can stop recording now.
Okay.